How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the channel for another Star Wars game video, and today we have a treat. Today we kind of have a sequel video to the one we made last week regarding Battlefront 3 being officially dead under EA. In that video we discussed the well-renowned industry insider and known leaker Tom Henderson, and that he confirmed that DICE had moved on to their next project, which was going to be another Battlefield game and not Battlefront 3. Well, Tom has been saying more things about Battlefront 3. He had spoken to a former developer from DICE regarding Star Wars, and yeah, some beans were spilt. Because Battlefront 3 apparently was actually on the table. DICE went and pitched Battlefront 3 to EA, but EA said no. And I'm going to get into the details and why they said no, which is honestly one of the most frustrating parts about all of this. And we also got a solid number from the same source saying how many Star Wars games EA currently have in development and what kind of games they're going to be. So we'll get to that towards the end of the video, so make sure you stick around. So if the news of DICE moving on to another Battlefield game instead of Battlefront annoyed you, then yeah, we'll strap in. You're going to have fun with this one. Oh, and just a side note before we get into the video, thank you guys for 150,000 subscribers. You guys are the best. Alright, so let's just do this. When we made the video discussing Tom Henderson's comments on Battlefront 3 last week, a lot of people said, how can Battlefront 3 be dead if it never even existed? Well, it turns out it kinda did. And DICE were completely down to do it. EA, on the other hand, gave DICE the stiff arm and said no. And we've got some details on all of this. Now, this is a thread on Twitter, so there will be some articles and tweets being recited here, and it is quite lengthy. I will try and trim the fat, as a lot of it is about Battlefield, which I know most of you couldn't really care about. But it says, Battlefront 3 was a pitched title from DICE, but ultimately the title was shot down by EA due to licensing costs. It got turned down because it takes 20% more sales to make the same money. Since several key developers that worked on the Battlefront series have since left the DICE studio in the past year, including the likes of Battlefront 2's creative director Dennis Brandval, core gameplay designer Christian Johannesi, and lead hero designer Guillaume Mroz, it would indicate a Battlefront 3 is very unlikely. I have seen the build file for DICE's next title in October, currently just dubbed Dev Next, which indicates that the title has passed Gate 0, which is its conceptual stage. So there is a lot going on there. Battlefront 3, it hasn't been getting ignored by EA all this time. It just turns out DICE were completely down to do it, and they pitched Battlefront 3 to EA, and EA just said no. Which would indicate that that was probably the catalyst for all those Battlefront 2 developers leaving DICE. So they're not making Battlefront 3 because Disney takes their slice of the pie, that being 20% of the sales. Like, that is the core reason we are not getting Battlefront 3, and we will get back to that. So they'd much rather make 100% of the money from a franchise that is on its knees at the moment, rather than make 80% from a franchise that is absolutely flying. Now, in terms of numbers there, I kinda get it, but clearly this is just another huge misstep from EA regarding Star Wars games. They're not making what would be the biggest Battlefront game ever in a franchise that is flying, and with a half-decent monetization process would be a billion-dollar game, because they'd lose 20% of the money from the sales. Which all of a sudden with Battlefront 3 is a problem now. It certainly wasn't a problem with, I don't know, Battlefront, Battlefront 2, Jedi Fallen Order, Star Wars Squadrons, you know, every single game EA has made from Star Wars. But all of a sudden it's a problem now. Like, are you trying to tell me Disney didn't take a cut from those 4 games? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. This is, like, incompetence at its finest. I just can't believe the reason that we're not going to get a Battlefront 3 is because Disney takes their 20% of the sales money. Like, isn't that just a given with every Star Wars game EA makes? Now, I know the delusional ones who watch this video are going to say, oh, but it's Battlefront versus Battlefield. They can only make one. Of course they'll go with the one that they get full profits from. And you'd be right. But here's the issue. Battlefront and Battlefield have coexisted with DICE in the past. It's never always been one or the other. It's only been one or the other with 2042, which clearly has not helped them, as 2042 seems to be getting absolutely smashed and has launched really badly. So it's nice to have a solid reason as to why EA haven't done a Battlefront 3, but it doesn't make it any less frustrating. Now, I did say in my last video where I discussed this Tom Henderson thing that this pretty much rules a line through a Battlefront 3 from DICE, but I'm going to go a step further today. I don't see EA making a Battlefront 3 with any other developer in future. I'd gladly be proven wrong, but although pretty much everyone would kill to make a Star Wars game, which has been proven with all the game announcements and rumors since the Star Wars license opened up, it just seems that EA are way too greedy to send 20% of their sales numbers to Disney. Which apparently they don't do for other games, just Battlefront 3 specifically. Like, I don't know, this just doesn't make any sense, dude. Like, I'm actually going to move on because I'm driving myself insane trying to comprehend it. So moving on, this wasn't all Tom had to say regarding Star Wars games under EA. He also said this: although it currently seems that DICE is not working on Battlefront 3 and instead another Battlefield, there are currently 2 Star Wars titles in development under EA. But it appears that those titles are more story-driven / single player instead of multiplayer. Now, we know what one of those 2 games are. One of them is without a doubt Respawn's Fallen Order sequel, like that is a given. But the other one, who knows what that could be. There are a bunch of rumored titles that it could potentially be. But the takeaway here is that they're both going to be single-player stories. So no multiplayer Star Wars games from EA are going to be coming anytime soon. And I know that a lot of people are going to find that incredibly frustrating, especially after the way Battlefront 2 got left for dead and then Squadrons came out, but Squadrons just did not fill the multiplayer void for like 99% of people. So it just looks like if you want your multiplayer Star Wars game fixed, you're gonna have to go screw yourself or play Battlefront 2 for the billionth time, which is probably the same thing. It's crazy, like 5 years ago it was multiplayer this, multiplayer that, screw single player, no one cares about single player. But now fans can't even buy a multiplayer Star Wars game. Like, don't get me wrong, new Star Wars games are great, but with single player Star Wars games, you wait for it, you get it, you play it, then it's over. On to the next. Which, knowing the rate EA pump out Star Wars games, you're in for one hell of a wait. So yeah, more shocking news on the Star Wars game front from EA. It just seems that every single ounce of good Star Wars game news that we're getting, it's from other publishers that are going to be pumping out Star Wars games once the license opens up in 2023. I'm going to be real with you guys, I kind of wish EA would just come out and say that they're done with Star Wars, because with the decisions that have been made, it's very clear that they are done with it. Look, I hope they surprise me and they throw us a curveball at some point and EA Play Live in 2022, they turn up and they go big. But I'm just losing faith, even in the prospects of the highly anticipated Fallen Order sequel, because I'm just getting every indication possible that EA just don't care about Star Wars anymore. But I don't know, none of it really makes that much sense. We did get some solid answers as to why we haven't got Battlefront 3, but solid just does not equate to logical. But, you know, it is what it is. So guys, go ahead and let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. I know what everyone's going to say already, but it doesn't make it any less enjoyable reading through these comments, because 99.9% of us, we're all on the same page. But if you did enjoy this video, then be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll catch you guys next time.